Hi, Irina.
Hi, Irina.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice seeing you. I'm very pleased to see you.
Thank you very much.
We going to people start arriving because it's 4:01. Hello. I guess
Hello.
people are gonna come slowly. Today's Monday is kind of a different day, but here in Brazil it's 4 p.m. So I hope they will come. There was a lot of people. There was a lot of people that day that we had the problem, but they will come. Slowly they will come. There is 10 p.m. already, right? You must be tired.
Yes, yes. No, that's fine. It's usually a time when kind of second breath is coming.
Okay. All right. Um, we're gonna wait just like a few minutes and then we will start. Oh, people are coming.
Wonderful.
Yes. Diana, collector, medium. Now people are starting coming. Hello, everybody. Welcome. And soon we will start. Um, it was a very difficult, many details you have to check because anything can ruin a live like that, right? Like today. Oh,
Yes, that's
Tom.
true.
Hello, Tom. I'm going to invite Tom. I sent him an invitation, but I guess he didn't get it. Um, I'm gonna invite him to join us too, because last time he saved he saved our life. It was nice to have him. I'm gonna invite him. Tom, let's see if you're able to join, because he mentioned he would be out at the museum, Oscar Niemeyer, and he didn't know it would be possible for him because of the internet there or something. So let's see if he'll be able to join us today. Yes, he's there, but I don't see him yet. So anyway, so you just finished the PhotoVisa? I was checking. When was it?
We started PhotoVisa.
You just
PhotoVisa is yes, it's an international biennial of photography in Krasnodar. It's south of Russia, and we opened the festival this year last Saturday. Sorry, last Thursday, and Sunday was the final of 4 days of the main events. But the
oh,
exhibition will be till the end of October. And October 31, we will have the portfolio review for Russian photographers offline. And
oh.
for us, it was important to do offline. People waited to be out of the screens,
Oh
to be
yes. Oh
able to
yes.
show the words finally on paper. And we really expected it will be great. We invited 10 reviewers from Moscow, St. Petersburg, smaller cities. They will come to join us in Krasnodar, and 30 people will be able to show their works.
Oh,
That's
that's
really
nice.
cool.
Yeah, and again, to see each other physically is very different than everything online, and it seems like our lives are just online now. But in the
That's
other
true.
hand, it's very nice to have the opportunity to have someone like you who is in Russia now, and we are in Brazil, to exchange ideas and talk and see each other, even if it's in the screen, right?
Yes,
I
that's
think
a
it's
great
fantastic.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I see Tom. Hi, Tom. Tom is trying. I sent him 2 invitations, and he's saying that he doesn't know what's happened because he cannot. He just see the image frozen. I'm gonna try again to send him
Yes,
a new
please. Yeah,
invitation.
yeah.
Let's see if he comes and join us.
Oh,
Ah,
Hi.
wonderful. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Irina. Nice to see you again. Hi, Josie.
hi, Tom. Such a pleasure to have you back because
Yeah,
you saved the life last time.
yeah.
Right.
I last time I spared some time to say how amazing it was to work with you in Russia at PhotoVisa in 2015.
It's my great pleasure. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
because
for
you
this
had
words.
a huge task to assemble like I don't know how many exhibitions, like 20 exhibitions, different places, different artists, and I think you managed so well. And because we only sent you the images by email, and it shows the frames and the places, and it was incredible. And
But that's part of curatorial work.
and I have to tell you, all the photographers only had the compliments about the because it was a surprise for everyone. Most people didn't know the venue. They didn't know how the the work would be displayed, and I have to tell you, it was an amazing surprise for everyone that took part of the event. Such a huge, it was it was incredible.
Yes, and last live, when you're trying to invite you and it didn't happen, then we decide talking about you at the beginning, right, Tom? I was trying many things, and suddenly I said, Tom, what should we do? And then I start laughing because I didn't know what to do anymore. And then Tom said, oh, maybe we should talk about Rina. Let's talk about Rina. And at the beginning, we were talking about you. And then we kept talking about curatorial work because we want to talk about the main subject of the life. But today we have the pleasure to hear from you about the curatorial work. So,
Thank you.
Irina, we have people coming in. Hello, everybody. I saw Leopoldo Plants. Hello, Leopoldo. He was a teacher at my postgraduate course at the university for many years. And I see many people arriving. And so I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to read just a short part of your huge biography. And I will suggest people to go to the Capiti's site to see more of it. I put all the information there, so it's capite.com.br. And I'm just gonna read just a little thing because you have such a wonderful biography. So, and I hope I will pronounce your last name properly. Irina Chmyreva.
Yes, right.
Okay, good. You know that I look for it at the Google. We find everything at the Google, right? So I put
That's
how to
great.
pronounce Shmireva because I was so like, oh, I don't want to make any mistake with her last name. So Irina, you are co-founder and art director of the PhotoVisa, an international biennial of photography in Russia that is going on right now, right? As you said at the beginning. And of course, we would like to know more about it. You are a photography historian, curator, and art critic, and you are a Ph.D. in art history. This is a tiny little thing about what you've done. So you're gonna talk the subject of this live is exhibition equals collective work of photographer, artist, plus curator, right? So I
Yes.
to let you talk now about the curatorial work and
You see, I'm just returned today from Krasnodar to Moscow, and Krasnodar is 1,100 kilometers to the south from Moscow. Oh, it's just 2 hours flight. For Russia, it's quite short and reasonable destination to go to see more art. For some countries, of course, it sounds very different and difficult to make such journey just to visit another museum. But in Russia, people understand that 1,000 kilometers, it's not far away.
oh yeah, huge country,
That's a
right?
destination what people can do, especially if they have something serious as a matter. For example, to see another artists or to review their art events. Even the destination between two great Russian cultural centers, Moscow and St. Petersburg, it's 800 kilometers. And for us, usually it's like, okay, weekend we will spend in St. Petersburg if we are from Moscow. And people are going there, 1 hour flight or 8 hours night train to be able to see Hermitage or contemporary art exhibitions. That's why I just want to give you the scale of our cultural exchanges in Russia. And in Krasnodar, it's an interesting experiment what my colleagues and me are doing for last 13 years. I'm originally from this city, and this city is famous of its fine art museum. We have in Krasnodar Art Museum Kandinsky, excellent piece by Malevich, Chagall. It's just the world-known names and less known, but really the cream of the cream of the history of art. And in Krasnodar, there is one of 3 oldest art colleges in Russia. And this college is more than 100 years old. And many artists firstly graduated that college and then go to Moscow for Art Institute, for St. Petersburg Art Institute. So Krasnodar is a kind of orangery for young talents. And when my Krasnodar colleagues, artists, photographers invited me to join the team of PhotoVisa 13 years ago, I thought it might be interesting, but nobody knew how long these experiments will take and how much of force and time of everybody it will take. And my colleague Masha Goldman, who's Tom knows very well, and other colleagues, they are living in a festival regime every year as a result. We had different years in Krasnodar. I mean, we had different scales of the program. And this year, the program looks quite modest. We had only 8 exhibitions, only 4 rooms, museum, private gallery, center for shopping and entertainment, where we have the exhibition in a gallery connected with the cinema halls. and the Center for Contemporary Arts Typography, where we have two exhibitions. And we had 10 lectures, panel discussions, and at the end of the month, we will have portfolio review. So such a modest program, but after fully online year, even such program is a great pleasure for local public and for people from different cities who are coming to join us. And we had two foreign guests this year. Professor Carlos Namashas from Portugal. From Portuguese, he is also the professor in Moscow in Britain, British School of Design. He joined us, and we had Olga Shagaudinova, original Russian Canadian artist. She's living in Havana, and she joined us physically at her exhibition, and we did a beautiful video evening of her multimedia arts and a discussion with her. And I think for people it's very important to be able to ask questions personally. That's why I hope during this stream people will ask questions. If you see the face, that's a chance to start to ask face by face. And when I was invited to Krasnodar to be the program director, the artistic director of PhotoVisa, I already had maybe 15 years experience being a curator of exhibitions. And for me, to make exhibitions, it's one of the main treasures of my life. I like to make exhibitions. It's a very creative work, I can say, and that's kind of work what I dreamed since I was a child. I like to play with different pictures and have 10, 20 pictures on the table to arrange and use stories from this table, from these images on the table. It's a kind of game with cards. And every time when you change the order of the images, you have a new story.
Yes.
And you start to tell a new fairy tale for your parents, for your friends, sitting at the same table. And that's experience what I use still in my work. When I start to tell stories, what I can see from the art of different artists. And I like to make these stories in collaboration with artists. I like to make the interviews with the artists before I start to make the layout for the exhibitions. That's why I believe a portfolio review for personal relations of curator and photographer is very important. That's a kind of start point for the whole collaborative work.
Yes,
And
I'm sorry, I cut you.
yes, please.
No, I was going to say that I met Irina during a portfolio review at the beginning of this year at a photo festival from Porto Alegre, Fest Photo Poa, right? And I had 8 portfolio reviews with 8 different art curators. And it was you, Irina, who interpret and my work as fully. You interpret it fully. You could take my work from I would say from the beginning, my documentary work um, during analogical times, and until I made that short video. And the way, and then later, I asked Irina, I asked you if you could write a text about my work, and I got a wonderful review. And the way you imagine, the way you, the story you made of my work, it was like more than I could expect, in a sense that as an artist, I produced that work, but you as a curator could translate it. And even though we didn't have much time to exchange many ideas, you could not research that much about my work, but the way you describe it, and the way you wrote that text, it was just amazing. And that's the real curator. And as the subject of this live today is the collective work, and also how an artist, your course that you're going to give at Capiche is going to be about that, how an artist can find or look for his own curator. I think I found my own, which is you.
Thank you.
If you accept, of course, when the time comes.
I just believe that the collaboration of curator and artist, it's a collaboration of two professionals. And I can say the artists have a very specific knowledge, and only artists have such kind of knowledge. It's not only the courses what the person had taken in university or in art school. It's about the experience what every artist has during the creative process. And of course, it's unique experience. And sometimes when person is very deep inside of the process of making art, it's hard to translate to anybody else. But curator has similar but not the same experience. And I believe curator is a kind of mediator and maybe interpreter for artists and public. I like to think that the curator makes a kind of interpretation of artists, and it's not just a word to interpret. It's about work to interpret. When anybody, I hope anybody in our audience tonight has the experience to be a translator between different languages. And in every language, you have some constructions, what really clear for people with this language, with this cultural context. But when you try just to repeat in a foreign language, word by word, it has no sense.
No.
You need to think in two different languages to be able to interpret from one language to another. And it's the experience from linguistic, but it's very much the same in the work of curator and artist for public art space. And I mean not only for the public art spaces like the exhibition halls, I mean in every room where the artist meets public. Because public has different kind of mental constructions what artist and artistic work means. And sometimes for artist himself or herself, it's very painful to realize how this construction, public construction of the artist work is different from the real artistic life. And I believe the curator needs to make a kind of comfortable space where the artist has shown the best and at the same time to be clearly understandable for public. That's why I think curator can have the knowledge in different disciplines to be able to construct the architecture of the space, to be able to understand the technical details of artistic work. It doesn't mean that curator should know the exact details as artists know, but to understand the main things and to be able to ask right questions. Because I believe it's one of the very important thing for curator to be able to ask questions, to make these constructions, what give new ideas for artists, what's the best, how better construct the final presentation of the artist of the artistic work. And also curator, I believe it's very important, needs the knowledge of art history and philosophy. And I can say the knowledge of psychology, it's very important, and the knowledge of perception. I was lucky because when I was a student, I had excellent teachers. It was the beginning of 90s in Moscow in Art Institute. And it was a period when some teachers who made lectures for me were students of professors of 1920s. So it was in one handshake with Russian avant-garde. And these very old people, they didn't know rather anybody will be interested in their way of thinking, but they continue to tell us the things what they believe. And that's what I also think very important for artists and for curator, to believe in their work. I know it's hard for all of us because too many opinions around. And of course, we want to be successful and we try to follow other opinion makers. But my old teachers showed me how it's important to follow your own paths. And it's strange to say, but I think the experience to live in Soviet time was a great school to be an artist, because sometimes isolation and understanding that people around has totally different opinion from yours give a very strong spiritual force for the artist. And that's what we really enjoy when we can see the results of the work of such artists in museum. And it's not only the work of the artist in the museum, but also the work of the curator in the museum. When we try to construct this individual opinion in the most precise way. So I can say from the very beginning, it's a miracle when artist and curator meet each other. It's a miracle of human meeting. And sometimes it's happened, sometimes not.
Yes.
But when it's happened, that's a very important platform for future collaboration. Because, of course, I know some artists never met their curator during the whole their life. And for such people, they can't share with their students, with their colleagues, any experience to work with the curator. And it does mean that every person who has the title of the job curator is a curator.
Sure.
But people who had the experience to be in relations with curator, they have a very important message for artistic people around them, as for their colleagues, as for the students, for the future generation, because such artists, after the experience of curatorial work, they can say curator is an important figure in artistic process. But you can't discuss this without your personal experience. And that's what Tom told us at the beginning of our meeting. We didn't work before. He visited Krasnodar personally, and he saw what kind of work I'm doing. And at the beginning, it's really important to trust the person with whom you're working, and to be able to accept different vision, different angle of vision of your work. And that's also important, one of the first steps of this collaboration. To be able to say, I'm ready to watch what can happen during next minutes, next days, next months of collaborative work in the exhibition. If we fully trust only to ourselves, it's dead end for any collaborative exhibition. Because every time when another person tells us some opinion which is new for us, that's a moment when we can stop and start to think how it works differently. Among my teachers, I had a very interesting art critic and teacher of history of arts. When I was her student, she was an old lady. It was mid-80s, and in that time to be curator in Soviet Union was very difficult. She had to be officially accepted, but she was too independent to be a person who is working in official institution. But she was a teacher, a mentor for many good artists. And she also was a teacher for me. Her name is Inga Mai. And she told me, listen, to find good art, it's very easy. This art firstly surprises you, and you don't know what to say, how to calculate, how to put this art into the bookshelf where you know everything. Because for the thing, what you don't know where to place it, you start to find this place. You start to think. If it's very easy for you to put the new impression into your bookshelf, that's something what you already knew. And of course, if something surprises you, it doesn't mean it's really yours. It doesn't mean it's great. But you start to think. You stop and you start to make your professional review of an object or of an artistic method. And then you can recognize whether it's yours and you will work with this, or you just will leave it by its own. But without this first surprise, you can't start. And that was, for me, a very important advice. If you know the art, you can't do anything new from your professional position. But if you're not, that's the start for collaborative work. And that's what very often started from portfolio review between curator and artist. Sometimes it's happened at the exhibition, but in the exhibition hall for curator, that's a chance to meet an artist, but you can meet artists in a different interpretation. And it depends of how good was the previous person who assembled the work for public. I can say we have some questions. Can we start to answer, or we will do this later?
No, we have a question here. It just came. Let me see if I got that question. Nanda asks if you could talk about one or two artworks of your production. What made your job better? I don't understand what she tried to say at the end, but more or less to say.
I think the colleague wants to have some examples.
Yes, I guess so.
Some stories. Yeah. So to be more on the ground level, not so theoretic. I have many stories, of course, but
Can imagine.
the first in my mind. I have a long time collaboration with one Russian artist. I met her in 2009, I guess, at the portfolio review, and she was a very young artist. And at that time, I remember in her work was something what gave me a feeling that it's very deep. It has a kind of very deep poetic meaning, even if the form was very traditional. I believe she can do something more individual. And one of her projects, because she presented me several projects at that time, had a very beautiful metaphoric form. And some projects, what she presented at the first portfolio review, they were work in progress. Some were more or less done already. And the project what we started to show, and the first exhibition we did together was 2 years later. it was maybe not the strongest one, but at that moment, the form what she used in that particular project was very different from people surrounded her. And for me, it was also a question how to support her individual further way. And we chose that black and white poetic project. And some people didn't understand us. They told us, oh, but it's not time for such metaphoric, beautiful black and white fine art style images. It's time for color, bright, straight, brave works. And in these black and white works, too many doubts. But for her personally, I believe to have doubts very important. And I didn't want to construct as a sculptor a new person from the artist. I wanted to support her own developments. And the first works at the beginning, they gave her just few followers. But in few years later, people returned and told us, "Oh, we remember the exhibition. That exhibition gave us some doubts, but we still remember the exhibition." And I didn't think our collaboration was for one exhibition. I believe in that time we started long time collaboration. That's why for me it was not a big question, rather we will need to make successful exhibition. We need to make exhibition what will present her own way, even the way of the young artist. And that's why I think that was very important experience for two of us. Not only for her, but for me as well. I was much younger, and for younger people, it's important question to have a success. But at that moment, I feel we are doing the right thing. Not to be immediately on the top, but to construct your own style. And people, year by year, started to recognize her. And right now, I can say, of course, her style changed. Of course, she made an evolution. But I believe we had quite comfortable space to be able to develop her style. That's one story. Another story, I like to work with old artists. I like to work with people from older generation than I am. It's a little bit like to be a grandkid and to hear the stories of your grandparents. Usually, grandparents know everything, and they even know how the art should be presented. But when you start such collaboration and you have your own knowledge of the newer languages and newer ways to exhibit art, such collaboration is very important for both sides, because working with old artists, I can have the experience how such kind of art was exhibited, was presented, was done decades before I started. And for the artists from older generation, that's an important experience, how to be contemporary again, because of the collaboration with a person of younger generation. One of such collaboration I had for 20 years. The name of the artist is Mikhail Dashevsky. I just will type his name here for our audience. He passed away this year, being 85. And when we did the first exhibitions at the beginning of 2000s, he was 60, or over 60. And before that, he was presented in several shows. But he was such a person who liked to try new things. And that gave us a chance to collaborate. And sometimes he had doubts about my layouts of the exhibitions. But what I wanted to do with him, every time I did a personal tour around my ideas for him. And when he started to follow my way of thinking, then we were two colleagues, two partners who gave to the public together. And that's what I believe very important in the relations between artist and curator. Not only to say, oh, I'm a different professional, I know how to do better, just follow me. But from the first trust to each other. Later, people are going in dialogue and they try to express their vision to each other. To be able to be really in one side, in one front line during the opening and during the promotion of the show. Otherwise, it's really hard. And I think when I was younger, I didn't expect so much how it's important to be understandable by the artist with whom you are working. I think it's one of the mistakes of young curators. They believe they have a cup of Graal themselves, and with this secret knowledge, they will do the best, and it's enough. And the artist, he just will follow this path as a pilgrim in a sacral journey. It's not. It's the journey of two people, of the artist and curator. And with Mikhail Dashevsky, we had such conversations very often. And that gave me a lot of new ideas. As for my text about the artist, as for my further research of the other periods of history of photography, because in some periods he knew much more than me. It was his time. Of course, he had his own interpretations, and that's also what I kept in my mind, and I wanted to keep a distance between artist and me. Not to be just a follower of the artist, of his ideas for public, but to remember that every time I'm another person. I'm a second person in this journey. I'm not a part of the artist. I'm a person with whom artist has collaboration. To keep your own borders as a professional. And the same, I believe, very important for artists as well. It's like in art school, when the students follow a strong teacher, later they need time to recognize themselves because they become just to be a follower, but not an individual. And sometimes I saw when the artists, after work with the curator, had not the personal, but the curatorial understanding of their own works. And that's what I don't want to do with the artists. I propose a different opinion, a different vision, but at the same time, I try to keep the artist's vision of his or her art, because that's the basement of their stability in the work.
It must be hard. I think it's like a thin line that you are, because the artist has emotional attachment to his work or her work, right? And it's already difficult for the artist, I think, to give away, in a sense that you're going to share your own work with someone who is going to give you other opinions and other views of your work, of the artist's work. And so I guess it's very difficult because it's a thin line that you have to sing that line to construct together, right? But it's very thin. The boundary is very thin, I think.
Yes, that's true. That's why I try to invite artists with whom I'm working to different activities what I'm producing. I invite artists to join lecture, to talk to my students, to review my other exhibitions, to talk with me. And that gives us more comfortable space for the collaboration. When people start to know each other and start to understand when they are doing. Because sometimes people think, oh, that's a curator in an exhibition hall or in a museum. Okay, he or she just will install my works. It doesn't work in that way. Of course, sometimes we need just a person who will supervise the process of montage of the exhibition, but I'm very I understand how such persons are important, but at the same time I understand that they are not the curators for the artist. They are technical specialists, they are professionals, but it's not the person with whom the artist constructs a new piece of art, because the exhibition itself, it's a separate new piece of art. And the same with the publication, or the same with the book, even the magazine portfolio. Sometimes people think, oh, I will send 10 images and that's all. But the order of these images, the size, the connection of different sizes of the images will give a different idea about the project for public. And that's what I think is important to do during this collaborative presentation. Not only to think, okay, we are doing the exhibition, it's in a month, but try to make some other activities during this period, and do these activities, find the better understanding of each other.
Yeah, very important. I'm so sorry, Irina. Now we have 4 minutes to end. And I would
Yes.
like also Tom, because Tom has been here and he is so close to you too. I would like to give some minutes to Tom too. I'm saying very much and thank you very much for having, the honor to have you here. And I'm very honored too that you're going to give, some course at Capiche as well as Tom. I'm advertising also here that next Wednesday we have another live with Tom and 2 students that had mentors with him. Now, Tom, please say, because we have very little. Thank you very much for 2 of you.
No,
And for everybody that's here.
I just want to say that it was very nice to see you again, Irina. We don't have a chance to talk face to face often, so very nice to see you, speak with you. It was a lot to. I think I heard you talk a lot about your job and how you think curatorship. And I love the metaphor you use, that you see an exhibition as a game of cards. I think I'm going to use it in the future. And I'm going to learn from where I had this idea. And since you mentioned that reference to a game, I think curatorship in Brazil, well, not in Brazil, but I believe curatorship is actually, you don't curate an artist, because the word curatorship comes from curate, and I think the word collaboration is much more interesting. And there is a game in Brazil that we play at the beach. I don't know if you have it in Russia. It's called frescobol. It's like tennis, but there is no net, and there is no scoring. No one wants to win. You just have fun and exchanging the ball all the time. Since you mentioned game of cards, for me, curatorship, a good game to represent curatorship would be frescobol. We just want to play, have fun. If you have a good partner, you keep the ball on air for a long time, and you have fun doing this. And if someone make a mistake, it's no problem. We just pick up the ball, start again, and there is no scoring. No one blames anyone. We just have fun. So while you speaking, I remember this game, and I just want to share.
Cool. Very cool.
So just we are talking about how curator and artists can have fun working together.
Exactly. And I think that's all about it. When you have a chance to put two professionals together, to work together, there must be a lot of fun involved, and of course exchange knowledge and learning. But above all, I think fun and yeah, lots of pleasure. That's what we had in Russia that year of 2015, and I'm sure that on the next years, all the artists must be very pleased to take part of PhotoVisa, because it was truly an amazing experience everyone had that time.
Thank you very much, Tom, to mention your experience at PhotoVisa, and I hope you will return to our festival once again, and other people will join us.
It was incredible. I still have my Russian memorabilia around the house.
Nice. All right, I guess we have seconds. Soon we're gonna be out. So thank you again. Thank you, everybody. I saw many nice people watching us. Zaclis Veiga, I love her. She's here. And many other people. I'm not going to mention everybody because we have seconds. But thank you very much, Irina. Thank you, Tom, for being always with me too. And it was very nice having you here today.
Okay.
Have a good week.
You too. Beijo.
Bye. Bye.
Bye bye.